Om. Om Mahagurudeva Dakini Sapadavada Agyam Pratichahum Sva. Om Mahagurudeva Dakini Sapadavada Padyam Pratichahum Sva. Om Mahagurudeva Dakini Sapadavada Pushpe Pratichahum Sva. Om Mahagurudeva Dakini Sapadavada Dupe Praticha Hum Sva. Om Mahagurudeva Dakini Sapadavada Aloke Praticha Hum Sva. Om Mahagurudeva Dakini Sapadavada Navidye Praticha Hum Sva. Om Mahagurudeva Dakini Sapadavada Gande Praticha Hum Sva. Om Mahagurudeva Dakini Sapadavada Shabda Praticha Hum Sva. Om Mahagurudeva Dakini Sapadavada Puja Praticha Hum Sva. Jema. 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 Welcome to Tridevi Chamunda Mandir in Denver, Colorado. This is Yamajit, and thank you so very much for joining me for our Tuesday satsang and the first installment of our series, the 5 Dakini Mandala meditation. So during this series, we're going to, for the first 5 weeks, we're going to honor each of the 5 Dakinis of the mandala, starting with Buddha Dakini in the center. And then week 6, we will culminate with a practice for the full mandala. I'd like to start out with a couple of quick announcements. So first, this is a pre-recorded broadcast. Turns out that this coming Tuesday, the 9th, they have me guiding a second historical walking tour of downtown Denver. So by the time I finished that and got back here, there's no guarantee that I would be able to start by 7 p.m. And so I decided to pre-record this and upload it to YouTube. I'd like to invite you to join me this coming Friday, 7 p.m. Denver, Colorado time, for part 22 of our series on the 64 yoginis. We'll be doing a puja and satsang to Sarasvati yogini. And then this series on the 5 Dakinis will continue. Part 2 will be next Tuesday, also at 7. And you're very welcome to join me on live on YouTube. And you can also come in person to our temple, 1260 South Xavier Street in Denver, Colorado. So again, welcome and namaste. So I'd like to say a little bit about the 5 Dakinis and their mandala as first part of this series. And I'm going to start by reading a short excerpt from the Tibetan Buddhist Encyclopedia. So devotion to the feminine emerged in Buddhism around the 8th century as part of the Tantric movement, and it eventually migrated to Tibet. The Sanskrit word for Dakini is in the Tibetan dialect is Khandro, which means sky dancer, or she who moves through space. The Dakinis have sometimes been compared with the Valkyries of Norse mythology. The Dakinis and their devotion also seem to have come from the yogini tradition of Indian Tantrism. Dakini, or feminine Buddha consciousness, is accessible to everyone, since the ego can be transformed into wisdom at any point. And that's really a central part of the practice on this particular mandala, is changing and is transforming our inner poisons to the inner wisdoms that are really the true form of those energies. The Dakini is the most important manifestation of the feminine in Tibetan Buddhist teaching. She is compassionate, yet she is also fierce, being the one who tears away one's ego. The Dakini is a messenger of the spacious and truth presiding over the funeral of self-deception. There are many symbols associated with the Dakinis, such as the hook of compassion, which we see on her principal weapon, the kartika, also known as a triguk, this little hook on the end, being the hook of compassion. The triguk itself is based on the type of blade that would be used in a sky burial, and it represents the cutting away of our ego attachments. The Dakinis, as we can see in our Tanka image, are seen as dancing, and their movements symbolize our potential for inner ecstasy. They are dancing the dance of the cosmos and our ability to harmonize with that dance. By activating the Dakini power within us, we are activating aspects of our psyche that have become repressed, and we bring that energy forward and explore its potential for transformation and possibly enlightenment. The Dakinis appear to us during challenging times, during life transitions, or they can appear in our dreams. They cut through our dualistic beliefs, which create the illusion of separateness. When you are working with the 5 families, or the 5 Dakinis, which also represent 5 Buddha families within the Tibetan tradition, you do not reject the 5 poisons, you rehabilitate that energy into its essential wisdom through the mandala of the 5 Dakinis. Those 5 poisons are ignorance, which is the one we're going to work with today, anger, pride, desire, and jealousy. And we are transforming those poisons into, Dharmahatu wisdom, which is essentially the wisdom of the Dharma, the wisdom of the true reality, all-encompassing wisdom, discriminating wisdom, wisdom of equality, and mirror-like wisdom. Like Jung's archetypes, we dance with the 5 Buddha families through our lives, but we may find that one or more of these individual families play an especially dominant role within our lives. So to go into a little detail with our mandala, we have the Buddha Dakini in the center. We see her in this particular Tanka image as being red, although very often she's portrayed as white. And really the Buddha Dakini is none other than Vajrayogini herself, the female Buddha. This particular version, we see that she is in the form of Vajravarahi, one of the more fiercer forms of Vajrayogini, and we can see that she's got little fangs on the side of her on the sides of her mouth. She is similarly adorned to the other 4 Dakinis of the mandala. So she is seen in a dancing posture, but below her is a wisdom lotus and a sun disk. And think of how the lotus grows up from the muck and the mud at the bottom of a pond toward the sun. And this represents the enflowering of our true potentials as we go through our spiritual processing. She is also dancing upon a corpse. So really this represents the transcendence of our greatest fear, which is the fear of death. She's holding a skull staff, also known as a Khatvanga, and this represents 2 things, both mastery over change rather than the fear of it. We can see on the Khatvanga there are 3 heads, one that's freshly cut, a second in a state of decomposition, and a third that's completely skeletonized. So there again we see the shedding away of ego attachments. And on the very top is a Vajra scepter, representing indestructible energy, the energy that governs this process. So the Vajra means both lightning, but it also means diamond. And the Khatvanga also represents the Dakini's masculine counterpart as well. She's dancing with her masculine consort. There are 2 ribbons hanging from the central shaft of the Khatvanga skull staff, and those represent the solar and lunar channels, or Pingala and Ida nadis, and the staff of the Khatvanga itself represents Shushumna, the central channel. She wears a crown of 5 skulls, which represent the transformation of those 5 poisons into 5 wisdoms that I mentioned before. She is holding the Triguk, or the Kartika, the flaying blade. And she is also holding a Kapala, or a skull cup filled with blood, and this represents the transformation of consciousness. And then she's surrounded by an archway of flames, representing both enlightenment and transformation. And then surrounding this central figure who we're honoring today are 4 other directional Dakinis. So Vajra Dakini, who we see in blue in the eastern direction. We see Ratna Dakini, the yellow Dakini, in the south. Padma Dakini, the red Dakini, in the west. And Karma Dakini, the green goddess, in the northern direction. So respectively, we also see within these directional deities, first beginning in the center, the element of ether or space, the element of water in the eastern direction, in the southern direction, the element of earth, the element of fire in the north, and the element of air in the north. And we'll go into more detail about these individual deities with each installment of this series. So let's focus on the central Dakini, the Dakini of the Buddha family, the Buddha Dakini. Her seed syllable, which is the one we're going to use in today's meditation, which is Vam, spelled either V-A-M or B-A-M. Her direction is the center. The symbol for this central Dakini is the 8-spoked wheel, the wheel of Dharma. that we see as a symbol of Buddhism. So the wheel of Dharma, or the Dharma chakra, is the eightfold path to enlightenment. In accordance to the Buddha, known as Buddha Sakyamuni in the Tibetan tradition, are right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. I want to say a little bit about the wisdom that ignorance or delusion, the poison, is transformed into, and that's Dharmahatu wisdom. So the wisdom is all-encompassing space. In Sanskrit, the word is jnana dharma dhatu. Dharma means truth or reality. Dhatu means space. Jnana means beginningless wisdom. It is what we knew before the basic split or rupture with the ground of being. The wisdom generates people who are calm, open-minded, gentle, peaceful, generous, tolerant, and enjoy the simplest and really the most important things within life. So the obstructed pattern of this energy is, along with ignorance and delusion, would be symptoms such as depression. And so today's meditation on the central Buddha Dakini is, I find, a very effective meditation for depression. And I'll share a little bit about my own process just over this last couple of weeks. I found myself waking up in a rather deep, depressed state, and really about the outcome of the recent presidential debate and also the Supreme Court decision last week. And I found that doing this meditation, which I'm going to be sharing with you, was very effective. Really broke that cycle of waking up depressed every morning. Its aggregate, or its particular state, also called its skandha, is the state of being related to form. In regards to time, it's being timeless, the totality of everything. The Buddha family energy is associated with the winter season, and a type of landscape that one might meditate on when trying to access this kind of energy would be a white sky in the wintertime, or just a large, expansive sky above oneself. The shape associated with this energy is the dot or the bindu, like the dot that one would see in the center of a mandala or of a yantra. The Buddha family, the Buddha Dakini family, also is associated with a particular body type, someone who's plump, relaxed, kind of a roundish body, and the sense perception associated with the Buddha family is that of the mind. So, Jema Buddha Dakini. So I'd like to just go ahead and go into our meditation for Buddha Dakini. And so, just to start out with, we're going to start out just by, I invite you to find a comfortable seated position. You can be seated on your mat, maybe with a cushion under your hips to remove discomfort from the back. Also to open the chest so your breaths can be full and deep. I invite you to look upon your screen with a relaxed gaze. You can also, as always, do this meditation from a straight back chair. If you're doing it from that position, just make sure your feet are flat on the floor, and you can make different adjustments like the placement of cushions for that. And just let your hands rest comfortably upon your knees. And I invite you to just look upon the central image with a relaxed gaze and just take some long, deep, clearing, relaxing, and yogic breaths. Let go of the cares and concerns of the past and the future. Let your body become more and more relaxed. And let your awareness just be where you are in the present moment. And I invite you now to close your eyes and continue breathing deeply. And let's begin by stating the Bodhisattva, that is the prayer for refuge and bodhicitta. And you can repeat these words after me. I take refuge in the Buddha. That is, we take refuge in our teachers. We take refuge in the Dharma. We take refuge in our spiritual knowledge. And we take refuge in the Sangha, our spiritual community. And that can be just those of us who are watching this broadcast at any time. This can be also the spiritual fellowship, those that we're closest to in that area, or everybody within a particular tradition that we follow. And for bodhicitta, the cultivation of the enlightened mind, I invite you to simply acknowledge that we are doing this practice not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of all sentient beings, all living things. So I invite you to continue breathing deeply. And I invite you to scan your body and feel those energies that might exist as depression or denial or spaciness or distractedness in your body. Just notice where those types of energies might reside. Could be a heaviness in the limbs, a sensation of coldness somewhere, a feeling of compression or emptiness somewhere. And if you don't find that energy anywhere else, I invite you to bring your focus to the parts of your body that would be from the throat upwards. So it could be the throat, could be the mouth, the jaw, the eye center, the third eye center, the crown, just anywhere in the head and neck region. Just focus where that energy might be concentrated. And I invite you to take 3 deep clearing breaths and just breathe into where those energies might exist on a physical level. And now I'm going to invite you to take 3 more deep breaths. And as you do that, just think about where those energies might exist on a more mental or intellectual level. And then we're going to take 3 more breaths and focus on those realms where that energy might exist on a more spiritual level. So now begin to feel that encumbered energy by imagining a time in your life when you felt this, creating the sensations that those memories generate. And begin to intensify that encumbered feeling of depression or isolation and confusion so that you can feel it really strongly. This gives a feeling of this Buddha family in its most blocked state. And now we're going to chant the seed syllable BAM slowly and in a low voice. And as we sound it, feel that sound go through your body, like you're sending that sound into your body rather than projecting it out. And as you sound that seed syllable, see your body permeated by white light and spaciousness. Feel that depression being transformed into wisdom. And feel that obstructed pattern of ignorance transforming into all-encompassing wisdom. And let that wisdom come from the sound and from the light that it generates. So let's begin with a nice deep breath. So sit quietly and just allow yourself to be in a place of stillness and silence, focusing on that transformed white light that now fills your form. Continue to breathe deeply. And just give yourself some time to fully integrate this practice, the mantra, and its energies. And then I invite you to take a deep and clearing breath. Letting go of the meditation. And as you listen to our final benediction, let your breath return to normal. And just feel yourself returning back to your personal space. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu loka samasta. Sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Tat Sat Om. I invite you now to slowly bring the palms of your hands together at your heart center, feeling that Divine Mother's presence within yourself, knowing it is there to guide you in the days ahead. And I invite you to thank yourself and give gratitude to yourself for taking part in this practice today, knowing you can replay this broadcast and do this meditation again at any time. And I would recommend doing that anytime you feel depressed or detached or isolated. And then slowly open your eyes and once again gaze upon the form of Buddha Dakini and her wisdom of the Dharma. And namaste, blessings always. Thank you so much for joining me. And Jai Ma. Jai Ma. Jai Ma. So, as always, I invite you to take a little while and just some quiet, just quiet time for yourself, a little quiet personal meditation before resuming the day's activities. And know that the series will continue over the next 5 weeks, going deeper and deeper into the process. And I look forward to you joining me on Friday when we honor Sarasvati Yogini. And once again, Jai Ma. Jai Ma. And thank you so very much. Jai Mata Di.